What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live composing show here at Video Game Music Alliance. My name is Stephen Melin, video game music composer, and I hope you are all doing fantastic today. So today, we're focusing on a brand new game. It's an indie game that is actually, as of today, in early access on Steam. It is called Alterium Shift. It looks like this right here. Shabam. If anyone has ever played the classics Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger, then you will immediately get vibes from that game. And as I said, this game is officially on early access. So what that means is it's officially released. It's not 100% finished. That's part of early access. It just means the devs are still working on it, but it means it's mostly done. And there is a free demo that you can play today. And so before the stream today, I was playing the demo and recording some footage so that we could write some music to it today. And it is quite good. I'm very excited about it. In fact, I dare say that this is the year of the jrpg return. Not sure if you've noticed recently, but if we're talking, classic jrpgs, if we're talking Nintendo Switch, in recent years, we've had Octopath Traveler, and now this year we have Octopath Traveler 2, which is a major return for Square Enix for that old school 90s JRPG style. We also have Sea of Stars releasing later this year, and here we have another one. We have Alterium Shift, and there's more out there, but these are the notable ones that they all are more or less emulating the same thing. And fun fact about Sea of Stars, we're going to do a stream for Sea of Stars later this year once it releases, but they were actually able to get Yasunori Mitsuda, the original composer of Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, on the soundtrack for Sea of Stars. So super jealous for them. That's awesome. But here for Alterium Shift, I'm really excited about this one today. So a couple things I wanted to mention before we started. I did some experimentation this morning. I hope that I've finally solved the CPU spiking issue that's been plaguing me. Now, hopefully the camera does not lag and it doesn't give us any issues today, but I'm trying a new camera setup. What was happening is my previous camera setup for the last several months has been doubled. Like in order to stream it, I have to load it somewhere else. And so I had the camera up and it was doubling. And so all of that doubling was just causing CPU spiking. And so obviously within my DAW, it has caused it to just lag and cause a lot of issues, loading a bajillion VSTs and such. But hopefully that doesn't give any issues today. We're going to experiment, see. Hopefully it's not like choppy. But if it is, let me know and I'll keep tweaking it till it's right. Yes, and Claire, I'm looking at the emoji, or I'm looking at the avatar. That's Claire. Says, I picked a good year to try to get back into RPGs. Super Mario RPG is the only one I've ever beaten. Hey, yes, Super Mario RPG is also returning with a remaster this year. I also think it was last year, Live Alive, however you pronounce it. Another Square Enix masterpiece, which was basically the original Octopath Traveler back in the 90s, remastered. I played that last year and absolutely loved it. So just this RPG style is coming back, but it's very stylized. It's very reminiscent of the 90s, but it's not copying the 90s. It's just taking a lot of the inspiration. So this game, I grabbed some footage today where at the beginning of the game, you get to choose which of 3 protagonists you want to play as. And so I chose Pyra, who is the girl who has fire. She's like a fire knight, flame knight, whatever. And I just took some footage of her walking through. And let's just do this for a second so you can hear it. A little pro tip for any of you that want to rescore a game, I highly recommend you do this. Open up the game on Steam if you have it. Go to the settings, turn off the background music, put it at 0%, leave the sound effects, and then just record playing it for a while and then score it. There's really no better way of testing a game than to actually play it and to throw your music up against it, complete with sound effects. really, really helps to set the tone and the mood. So quick shout out to the composer of this game. The music in this game is actually absolutely fantastic. Maybe he'll join us. I invited him to join us today on the live stream. We'll see. His name's Jonathan. He seems like an awesome dude. So huge shout out to him. The music is absolutely fantastic. I actually thought when playing it for a few minutes here in this hometown scene, I actually thought that the composer was Yasunori Mitsuda. It's so similar in style. And actually, if you were to go to, if you play Golden Sun, does anyone here remember Golden Sun from the GBA? That's one of my favorite video games of all time. And there was 2 of them, 2 Golden Sun games on the GBA. They made a third for DS, but it was not good. But those first 2 games, they're so memorable, and it's like the classic JRPG. It's a turn-based battle, lots of fun, bubbly characters, great animations, and all of that. This game reminds me more so of Golden Sun than it does of Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy. I actually feel like Sea of Stars, which is the game we're going to talk about later this year, is a closer reimagining of the Chrono Trigger sound or style. This one is a classic turn-based RPG and all that. So what I wanted to do today, by the way, what's up, Ethan, Matt, Demi, Quillia, Claire, and a few others hanging out with us today. What I wanted to do, obviously this is not a big AAA title, but I think it's fun every once in a while to dig into some indie games because, let's be honest, like my career has been paved by indie games. And any chance, even though I'm obviously not the composer for this game, it's fun to pretend like I am and to put myself directly in the shoes and to just see what I would do with it. It's a fun exercise. It also gives me some more music to throw into my music packs to sell. And ultimately, it's a fun experience for everyone. So what I hope to do today is I want to show from start to finish how I would write a track like this. And the intention is this is supposed to be a hometown village track. And that means it needs to feel safe. It needs to feel a little energetic. But most of all, safe, meaning it's your hometown. There's no threat, there's no tension yet, so it's supposed to be lovely. And typically in town themes like this, we do 3/4 time or 6/4 time, something in a triple meter. But I just was really feeling 4/4, and one instrument in particular I really want to harp on is the harp. I want to use the pan flute. And for those of you who have watched our masterclass on Video Game Music Alliance, there's a masterclass on there which is called How I Built 1,800 Plus Contact Instruments of My Favorite Games in Video Game History. It has a better title than that, but it's pretty similar. Go look it up. Just Google it real quick and you'll find it. And in that video, I walk through my process of how I created all my own custom contact instruments using... There's some databases out there that I link to in that video, in that course. It's a free masterclass, by the way. Go watch that. There's no charge for that. And I walk through the different pieces of software I use to convert all of these old retro samples from different VSTs and CD-ROMs and everything, WAV files, whatever, and how I converted all of those into the same uniform format to now have my own contact collection. And it's moments like these where I'm trying to write in a retro style that it is so unbelievably helpful because I kid you not, in about 30 minutes, it's probably longer than I needed to, but it took about 30 minutes before the stream to set this up. And the way I set it up is I literally opened up a contact patch. And today I'm rocking Contact 6 because Contact 7 is still kind of buggy. Fair warning for anyone who uses Contact 7. It's not 100%. It keeps crashing Cubase for various reasons. I don't know why, but anyway, Contact 6 has been very stable for a long time. So what I do is I go over here to my, I right click to go to my quick load menu, and I've created a folder called VGM, and I've divided all of my samples by console generation. So for today's purposes, I want to sound like 16-bit. So what that means is it could be Super Nintendo, it could be a Game Boy Advance, it could be the DS, and maybe the GameCube. Maybe, because the GameCube kind of still used a lot of the same types of samples. But anything outside of that territory is not going to fit. It's going to sound too modern, or it's going to sound too retro. Like, we're not using 8-bit chiptunes, right? We're not using arcade sounds, and we're not using C64, the Commodore 64, CD-ROM. Like, we really need to niche down to the 16-bit era. So the way I've done that is I wanted a pan flute. So what did I do? I went to 4th gen SNES. Scroll down. There's all the different games I have original samples from. And they're not ROM hacks, by the way. These are just the original instruments found from the original VSTs or CD-ROMs or what have you. I've legally bought every single one of those. I've spent thousands of dollars. It might seem unnecessary to do that, but this is what I like to do. I love the hunt of finding all these things. It was actually on Black Friday of 2019, one of those, where I just had a heyday, and I spent a lot of money, but I tracked down thousands of VSTs and collections and all these things to then chop them all up into this contact system. Anyway, so it's all legally done. There's no hacking. There's no ROM. None of that junk. But anyway, I've divided them by the games. I've divided them by the consoles, and then by the instrument. So over here, I'm looking for pan flute. So go down here, boom, pan flute. I have pan flute from Chrono Trigger, from Donkey Kong 2, from Donkey Kong Country. It's the same patch for all three. And so I threw that up here. Did the same thing. Went down here to the N64. I'm basically looking for Nintendo sound because that's kind of the JRPG sound. I could look through PS1 as well, but that's not really the style I'm going for. I also looked through GBA, GameCube, and the DS, which is, believe it or not, DS is considered the 7th gen, up there with the Wii and Xbox 360. So anyway, I did all that work, and I grabbed all the patches I thought were potential contenders. So the pan flute, or the pan flute from Super Smash Bros. Melee. I think it's my favorite. I have the pan flute from Super Mario Sunshine. From Paper Mario. Another really good one. And then the pan flute from Chrono Trigger. Right? That's the one. Isn't that so cool? But I really like this Super Smash one. So I did that for each of these instruments. I won't bore you with all of them, but harp, string ensemble, string pits, and electric bass. I just went through and picked my favorite 3 or 4 for my favorite games in video game history, and it was super easy to do because I have it all sorted, and just grabbed them and tested them and everything. And now here we are. I also took a moment to create a chord chart because I have found when I'm making video game loops that by doing a lot of the mental work up front and creating a structure, which means a tempo. So I chose a tempo of 90 BPM. You can see that right here, 90 BPM. I chose a 4/4 time signature. That would kind of feel safe and pretty non-threatening. And then I wrote some basic chords. They're not solidified 100%, but I just divided it into basically an A section called binary form. A section and a B section, and then boom, the loop. So the loop is actually 1 minute and 25 seconds long. That's a great loop. 90-second track. That's pretty good. Over here, I chose the chords as well. Because I want this to sound a little fantasy, I chose the Lydian mode. So let me grab my string pits. And So I'm using a Lydian mode, which basically means sharp 4. So essentially it's a C major scale, but with a sharp 4, which is the F sharp. So it's actually brighter than a major scale. It's one notch brighter. So essentially, I'm playing a bunch of C chords with D's on top. I'm just kind of walking around the 5 chord to the 3 chord. 1 over itself, first inversion. Very safe, right? And then for the B section, I want to focus on the string ensemble, which, let's see where this is from. I had lots of choices. I chose Super Mario RPG. There you go. Legend of the Seven Stars. Oh, what's a good Super Mario RPG tune? There's the... Isn't that nice? And there's the other one. Man, this is this is the patch. Oh, it's been too long. That thing modulates every bar. So excited about that game coming out. So good. Sorry. I had to take that detour. It was worth it. Anyway, with my string ensemble, I want to enforce the Lydian-ness of this, right? Here's the question that I'm going to throw out to all of you. Is it really Lydian mode if it's just for one chord? No, it's called a super dominant. It's a 5 of a 5. Because in the key of C, we have C. 5 chord is G. 5 of that is D. So you can put them together. It's just kind of meant to be a colorful chord. And the reason I'm bringing it to question is if we are in Lydian mode, then how do you explain the B section, which all of a sudden, I want to go to the 4, but technically if we're in C major, not C Lydian, then we couldn't play an F chord as the tonic, as the root. So I'm kind of going back and forth. This is a very Zelda, Koji Kondo harmonic language where he just borrows chords from other modes. But it's fine. So for this B section, I want to go to the 4, the subdominant, but I want it to be a major 7th chord. To a 1-7. To a 6. 3. 4. Because it still keeps the calm vibes. And back to the home. Again, very, very Zelda-esque, but that's just kind of more of my vernacular than more. I don't write very Final Fantasy-esque. I write more Zelda. Anyway, let's see what we can do with this. Now that I've more or less explained the process, I hope this is fun for everyone involved. And another reason I put the chords in place to start with, I can always change it, but it gave me a structure so that when it's time to write, we can just sit down and write. So let's do it. So the first sound I want to really focus on is the string pits. And I'm going to leave the sound effects on until it becomes a bother, because I just think it's nice to play to the picture. I will turn it down, though, just so we don't get too distracted. Something like that. So let's focus on knocking these chords out. So it's technically a D9 because it has the E on top. Very Japanese bitonality. Still very melodic. So I want to go to a B. But let's keep that same gap. So what we want to hear is the ya da da na da 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 na na. I can't go into Zelda's Lullaby as much as I want to. I have to really resist the urge to go to the diminished, because that's just copying Zelda, so let's not do that. I mean, I'm literally already doing the Zelda chords, so maybe I shouldn't go all the way. It's amazing how much this stuff is just embedded in my musical playing, you know. Anyway, so we're doing this. So that's the D9. A little repetition, but now let's go to the B. Also why I write my chords, so I don't have to. So I want that, because this is a whole string ensemble, not just one instrument. I like having the little plucks up top. So again, we have the eighth notes. That's nice. I'm really going for minimalism here. Maybe we should do that instead. I like that better. I like the rhythm change. It's good to highlight the inversion. Let's turn on the beat. Here we go. Boom, bum, ba, da, da. I'm intentionally not playing every note of the chord because we got to make some space for the melody to come on top. So it just can't do too much. I'm really trying to keep it minimalistic. Yeah, that was good. A little bit of motion, but not too much motion. I'll tell you what, guys, the number one issue that new composers have is they write too much. They write too many notes. The masters, I'm not calling myself a master, by the way, but the masters who I'm trying to emulate and become like, the masters use as few notes as possible. Take that to the bank. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to use as few notes as possible to really outline these chord shapes, because the less notes I use, the more rests that I use, the more space I have to put other interesting colors in there, and I don't have to rely so much on one instrument carrying the load. No way. That's not necessary. All right. Oh, I see what's happening. Give me 2 seconds. I have a key command that is fighting me right now, and I'll see what it is. The key command is Control plus whatever, and it changes my screens, but it's not supposed to be changing my starting location. So let's see if I can identify where that is. That's going to be a tough one. Maybe it's in the edit. What do we call this thing? Give me 2 seconds. This is worth it. It's called left. There it is. Go to, it should be called left locator position. I didn't know that this was bugging me so much. Let's go in here. It's called left locator position. It's one of these. Sorry, guys. If I can't get it real quick, then I'll just deal with it. Somewhere in here is a a pesky key command that is fighting me. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Assign to, there, I figured it out. Transport set left locator. Let's find it. Transport set, it's down here. Set, what a pesky little guy. Set left locator to cursor position. Found it. Delete. Thank you. Oh my heavens. And that's it. Okay, now I can go back to my life of not being plagued by key commands. All right, that was worth it, because I would have been doing that so many times today. Okay, where were we? I am not, I'm no one's master. I like that little melody there, sub-melody. But it's too loud. So let me take the velocity down. Cool. Love it. And I want to clarify, ToeGap makes a great point about the Pokemon games. There might be too much going on in the town themes. I'm not talking about necessarily the macro view of the entire track. I'm talking about one individual instrument really should not try to be carrying the weight unless it's a solo, like a piano solo. Then yeah, it needs to carry all the weight. But yeah. And Matt makes a fantastic point that usually in Pokemon games, the melodies are very strong, that yeah, they can carry it. All right, let's turn Mr. Pizzicato down. He's too loud. I should also mention that in my routing here today, it's very simple. I do have one reverb track. I'm using the most basic reverb plugin of all. This is True Verb. This is a Waves plugin. You could use just about anything, but I set it pretty high. It's a very big reverb. It's like a room verb, so it's not like a hall or a cathedral or anything. It's just a room verb. But I wanted each track to use the same reverb, but they're all being sent different percentages to that reverb For example, the pan flute, it needs reverb. If I turn it off completely. Anyway, that's obviously going to be carrying the melody here. So let's see what we can do. Chrono cross. That's the Final Fantasy VI harp, by the way. So good. Is that the right one? No, that's Super Mario RPG. I have the 6. It's this one. Huh. Love it. Anyway. What am I doing? Okay, I'm done. Don't get me started. Okie dokie dokie dokie. Where were we? Here's what I'm feeling. Oh, I was just playing Final Fantasy VI, and then somehow it turned into the Final Fantasy main theme. Like writing a completely different piece of music now. That's okay. I don't know if this needs like a cheesy solo violin or a bagpipe, but it needs something that I haven't used yet. So let's start there. Solo thing. Let's see what we have to work with. Mayato. Watch our free masterclass on VGMA. Perhaps, Matt, you can grab it and post a link there in the live chat. I think that might be helpful for some. Anyone who cares about this, patch hunting and building your own contact libraries, it's quite wonderful. It's a very fun process, and anyone can do it, and you probably already have a lot of these. There's a large portion of video game history that comes from 2 plugins. That's it. I'd say like 50%, 70% comes from the Contact Factory library, because those include all of the old VSL, Vienna Symphonic Library, orchestral instruments. The other one is the Roland Sound Canvas. You can get the physical Rompler, which is a big hardware VCR-looking box, which has all the sounds, or you can get the Roland Sound Canvas plugin, which is quite inexpensive. I think it's about $100 or less, and it has most of video game music history on it. And then from there, maybe grab some of the Korg collection to get all of the old synths, like the Korg Triton has a ton of stuff. There are a bunch of old CD-ROMs and things that you can track down. It's a lot of fun. The more niche you get, the less you find. But I've bought some things just to get 5 sounds, to get 10 sounds from some of my favorite games. But the generalist approach is to start with what you have and then work your way towards the stuff you really want to have. Anyway, let's look at maybe start with the N64. See if there's like a good violin or something that would kind of trigger a hometown. I mean, even an oboe. Let's just grab a few sounds for different places. So let's grab an oboe. I want something with a little bit of like a wind vibe. I bet you $5 that both of these Paper Mario sounds are from the sound canvas. It's just where most things came from for a large 15-year, 20-year period of time. Just about every video game used that. And particularly the Nintendo sound that we know and love. That's what I'm mostly referring to, because those are the kind of games I care about. The Zeldas, the Marios, the Pokemons, all those. They typically rotate around that same types of games. Let's go with the GBA, see if we can find... GBA, the sounds were so compressed. It's actually really cool because these are the uncompressed sounds. These are the original samples, which is pretty cool. Maybe a guitar would be a good thing to try to make it feel... I'll just grab a few things here to play around with. That's a good place to start. Let's start there. Okay, so here's my oboe. It's a little cheesy. Let's see what I have from Chrono Cross, which was PlayStation 1. I have some things. Flute, vibes, English horn, just to try some things. I don't know why I keep gravitating towards G major instead of C. Maybe I just need to move my melody up by 5. I don't know. Do you guys ever experience this where it's like you get a melody in your head and it has to be in a very specific key? Because that's where you heard it. That's where I'm feeling like right now. This is going to be vibes. I just think that's so fun. It's such a nice sound. Let me solo these for a minute. That's just like the melody that's stuck in my head. Man, I was not expecting to stumble upon that. That was fun. That was nice. So maybe I can do this. I don't want to completely scrap the original idea because it was quite nice, but it just doesn't feel like a fit for what I'm trying to accomplish, and that's okay. Rule number 1 of writing music: get the cliche stuff out so that you can focus on the interesting thing. Sometimes, in fact, I'd say a lot of the time when I'm writing music, it's important to write the first thing I think just to get it out of the way. But typically number 2 or number 3, version 1 rarely is the one. There's something about our brains that just need to get it out of our system. And you never know, that could be another track. If I was scoring the real game, that could be another track for later, right? So let's try this again. It's actually the same tempo and everything. Yeah, let's do that. And then it'll repeat, but with a different instrument. That's nice. And then na, 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 na. Ooh. Go lots of places. But let's start with that C. leave that alone for a minute. I think it's a great place to start hashing this out. I'm very excited. Let's give this some fresh life here. Hooray. Now let's have some fun producing it out. Boom, bum, ba-dum. Boom, bum, ba-dum. For that, I needed pedal change. So, yum, bum, ba-dum. There we are. I'm going to take the left hand apart. Boom, bum, bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum. Boom, bum, bum. Boom, bum. Boom, bum, bum, bum. Boom, bum, bum. Okay, and then I'm going to take all that and quantize it to an eighth note. Let the right hand do its thing. You know, it's funny. I don't think I've ever used vibraphone in my life. But recently, I'm now working on the Aethermancer game soundtrack. And out of the blue, I kept getting revision notes from the game dev team, and they kept saying, make it softer, make it softer, make it softer. And I think after like 10 revisions, I kept scaling it back. I went from this big orchestral thing to like medium-sized strings and pizzicato, and like there's nothing else I can do to make this softer. And then all of a sudden I tried vibraphone, and it just, this little solo vibraphone line, it just makes something soft. It's amazing. And I like the reference, Quelia, to Final Fantasy VIII. Yes, I think this feels way more like Final Fantasy, therefore more like the game we're trying to score than the Zelda-ish thing I was trying to do. Hold on. This does not feel right. I know why. Because this pedal change kind of screws it up. So I gotta make sure everything feels. Boom, bum. That's where I'll switch to the pits. Or maybe harp. Work in progress, right? I think we're onto something. I feel like this would do well to have a string ensemble. If we have these. Cool. Yeah, Rockamora. I don't use the melodics patch from Red Room Audio at all, but I really like their palette and what's the other one called? Saga. It's a percussion. It's really good. I finally got my chords, by the way. My new chords, if you care to know. I need to know them. So it's a C. No, it's not. It's a G. So somehow we've now officially gotten to G major. So you can skip all my Lydian talk about the beginning. That's fine. So G, C over G. And then the next one, you could still call it's a super dominant. It's the D over G, D over G. Hey, what's up, Jordan? And then, na, na, what is that, C? Na, na, ma, na, na. And then, G over B. Na, na, na. So then E minor, 7. Na, 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 na. Then A minor, 7. Da, na, 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 na. D sus 4. Na, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm late. How did I get late? So let me try again. E minor's here. This is where learning music theory can really help save so much time when you're writing, because then you actually know what you're doing instead of guessing all the time. And then we're going to do it all again. So we're going to hit copy. Go over here. Boom, and we're going to call this A2. Up here, A2. Different instrumentation to keep it fresh. Cool. Da-da-dum. Nice. Let's turn it way down. Also have a bass. This is the Final Fantasy VI bass. That's more of an inspiration for this track. Which is very strings heavy. I like having the strings there. What do you guys think? For now, I'm going to kill this part. I like having the strings, at least in the second half. Oh, Ordon Village. Ba-da-dum, ba-da-bum. Yeah. From Twilight Princess. Because it's actually just following the... I'm pretty sure it's following the Zelda's Lullaby. Right. Every Zelda tune secretly is Zelda's Lullaby. It's genius. The Zelda team is brilliant. Always has been. I like the strings a lot. It just adds more life. So let's make sure that they are all the same velocity, which sounds weird, but that's what we need in this kind of MIDI land. Make them all the same, but then equal. I'm going to keep all these. All right, now to decide to either do the string pits or the harp. What's funny is this is the inverse of the A section. Hey, what's up, Jonathan? Everybody say hey. Give a little wave emoji to Jonathan Shaw. Thanks, man. T&A. So he's the actual composer for this game, Alterium Shift. If you have not heard the actual music yet, go check it out. It's phenomenal. Sounds so good. And I truly thought that it sounded like Yasunori Mitsuda when I first heard it. Because I remember hearing, apparently it's Sea of Stars, but I remember hearing, oh, Mitsuda is working on a Chrono Trigger Final Fantasy VI alike game. It wasn't this one, but that's okay. Really, really well done. All right, let's scrap this part. I like to give it a shot here. So, try one more time. I liked that. Even the door slam is on pitch. That's funny. What's up, Paul? Inversion. Hey, yeah, Paul, you're dead on. The Golden Sun vibes. As soon as you hear a pan flute. Absolutely. And Jonathan Shaw, the composer for this game, also used a pan flute in 3/4 time, just like Golden Sun, and I love it. My original, like before we started the stream, I started playing a little tune in 3/4 time, and I was like, I feel like this needs to be in 4 today. That's so funny. I think that door slam's a G. Yum. It sure is. That's so funny. And I did it right on the beat. Here we go. How funny. How did that stuff happen? That's so funny. I'm telling you, it's all subconscious. If you guys remember, at the beginning of the stream, I started a track in C major. But alas, it didn't hold. Maybe subconsciously I felt the power of the G. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear, Jonathan. All right, this is for Paul. Whatever. It's Mixolydian. Right? Is that B flat? Hey, that's Motoi Sakuraba, the Dark Souls composer. What in the world? My 2 favorite series. Come on. All right, let's put this string ensemble out of its misery. I like having the strings. Maybe we can do some chords. I like that. The thirds. It's a very brass kind of writing, but I like it here. That's what I should do. I'll do an F major there. That was originally my plan anyway. Sneak one of those in there. I'll go up though, so it doesn't get too low. Da da G A. Maybe half step, yeah. Because we're doing this whole thing. Oh, it should just be yeah. It should just be a step. Okay, let's walk through it. So C, G, C, G, C, C, B, F, F sharp. And I'll do a quarter note and then a roll. I'll just play this one in. Make it sound like a harp. 1, 2. Boom, brum. Boom, brum. Line it up. I'll get the strings nonsense figured out. But as far as the chords go, I like to keep track of these. So this is officially the B. Hey guys, we're actually making great time today. It's nice to come in with a plan, even though the plan got totally derailed and replaced. Still had a plan, sort of, to do a binary A-B track. But let's see, we have, and by the way, Paul, yes, 100%. I actually just replayed Dark Souls 1 this past week. Man, I haven't played it in like 10 years, 15 years, whenever that thing came out. Jeez, it's been a long time. And it was just as brutally awful, difficult as I remembered. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. But my skills have improved now that I've played all the Dark Souls games. All the Souls games. Okay, where am I going with this? It's a C. Here, so we go C, da da ba da ba G, C, G. So this time, C, da da da, B over G. Whatever we called it, E minor. None of you actually care, but that's okay. For the 3 people who actually care, this is for you. E minor 7, da da, and then sort of going to the predictable A minor 2, which is what we did in the A section. This time we're going to go to the F major out of nowhere because it's a half step up, and then another half step, which actually makes this inversion make a whole lot more sense if we do D over F sharp, because it's the chord our ears want anyway. But here's the question: do I do that on the first time or the second time? It should be the second time. So let's do this. We're going to do a B2 right here. And I'm going to save the fun chord, the F, bum, 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 for the second time only, because you don't get to just whip out that chord every time. It needs to be special. So let's go back in time here. And this F, as we originally talked about, the predictable chord is the A minor 7, which is the 2, right? What key are we in? I don't even know. Yeah, we're in key of G, so 2 is the A minor 7. So let's put this back to what that was originally. Let's think about a special chord. I think it's a chromatic mediant, if I'm not mistaken. I just recorded a whole course on this, so these terms are fresh in my mind. Can't wait to share that with you guys. July 10th, it's coming. That's 4 days. We're actually finishing up today. Everything's recorded. We're just finalizing the edits. It's looking really good, guys. Really, really, really good. So everybody inside VGMA, you're going to have a lot of fun with those. They're visually interesting. They're produced really, really well. Because they're not done by me. All right, A minor 2 should be. C, C. All right, and then this one, we're not ready for the inversion yet. We'll just do straight. What is that? A. Then F sharp. Can I teach you guys something real quick? Once again, 3 of you will care, but I do this for the 3 people. It's not for the masses. Can I teach you something that I used to teach my piano students? It's really a composing technique, though. This is the greatest thing I ever discovered on a piano. This is how you voice a chord. This is what I would consider to be the holy grail of how to make a chord sing. And this has to do with voicing, meaning if we have 3 notes, let's take a look real quick. If we have 3 notes, a triad, if you will, C, E, G, that is the lamest way you could possibly share that chord, because there is no use of what's called the harmonic series, or the overtone series, without getting super scientific here. The spacing of these notes, because they're so close together, major third, minor third, it gives no space for any extra notes to be included. Because believe it or not, when we hear music, we're not just hearing 3 notes, we're actually hearing the entire harmonic series. So if you spread this out to a 5th, and then put the 3rd on top, some people can't reach that. I have super large hands, so I can go Rachmaninoff style. Anyway, that's why I was a piano major. Anyway, over here, if you can learn to play chords this way in your left hand, with a 5th and a 3rd, same 3 notes, works for minor chords too. What it does, let me flip to something more interesting like strings. Which is more interesting, this? Nothing wrong with that. It's just boring. So if you spread it out, and if you don't have large hands, you can always just use 2 hands. You can do a 5th in the bottom, 3rd on top. I guaranteed you will start to get way better voicings out of your music. Works for choir, brass, woodwinds, piano, strings, everything. Harp, everything. So that is my default. Unless I have a very strong reason to use closed chords, I'm not going to. And here's a perfect example right here. Here's the strings that I just played. And the reason I was able to play these so quickly is because I've done this 500,000 times probably. But listen to the chords I played. There it is. The 3rd's on top. It's just a much more sonorous, beautiful, open, more natural sound. And if you ever get the opportunity to record with a live orchestra, I promise, if you use this voicing with any live ensemble, it will sound way more resonant and it will sound way more interesting and musical. And this is what the pros do. They focus on the voicing over the notes, which is why, to my earlier point, I know I've changed the music a bunch since I started the stream, but I'm still keeping it very simple on purpose because simple wins every time. Yeah, toe gap. There's a whole section of this new composition course dedicated to harmony and harmonic writing. There's a whole section for melodic writing. And there's a whole section about video game layers, section about loops, about combining these elements together. It's a whole thing. I've spent a couple months on this, actually. This is by far the best course I've ever made, and we are on slate to do 12 of these. That's right, you heard me. I have a really cool team around me who does all the shooting and editing and production and all the things, and it's really exciting. VGMA is growing. All right, here we are. So we made this switch over here. This is A minor 7. This is a D. Let's finish out the structure, and then we'll finish the track. All right, so here we go. I think the strings should carry the melody. Yes, Jordan. Once the new courses come in, we're going to replace the old ones and get rid of anything old that's outdated. We want to always stay as current as we can, especially when it comes to technology and the way that we produce and like showcase things. You know, visual styles are always changing. There's always something that's in vogue. My old stuff it looks old. The content's still good, but it just looks old and it feels old and it's kind of hard to watch. So that's the whole intent behind this. And obviously I've grown as a composer. I've grown in the way that I explain things, and I can explain complex topics a little bit more simply now. Not yet, Claire. 4 more days. July 10th. We're actually, as a pro group, as VGMA, we're all going to walk through the course together over a 10-week period. We're going to do one assignment each week. It's a 12-week course, but we only have 10 weeks to do it before the next course comes. We got lots going on, guys, in a good way. But we're going to try to do a summer semester of getting all 12 weeks of content into 10 weeks. It's going to be so much fun. It's all very, very small, bite-sized chunks where it's like, hey, compose 4 measures for the whole week. That's all you do. But when you laser focus on one thing, like let's make this the best 4 measures I've ever written in my life, it's going to matter, because then when you start tackling that on, basically by the end of the whole course, you will have written one piece of music. That's the whole point. But it's going to be really good piece of music because you're going to really labor over every little ingredient instead of write 10 pieces of music. That's just overwhelming and awful, and no one enjoys that. You can do that, but that's not the way we roll. We really want to focus on the details, which is how you get better. Look at me talking so much, I'm not even writing music. Sorry, guys. Hopefully that's interesting, though. This is just a teacher within me. I have to teach. Paul. Was really sloppy. Too busy reading your awful comments. All right. I love that vibes. feels slow, but there's something about this that feels just right. It feels like home. It's not rushed. It's not complicated. It's just kind of singable and hummable. I gotta work on this though. It just works. I mean, you're carrying around a chicken, for goodness sake. I mean, talk about a Zelda reference. Like, it almost sounds like the exact same sound, too. Let's just keep it at 2 notes. All right. This harp is a little lacking in reverb. Let's crank it up a little bit. So are the vibes. Here we go. Cool. All right, and we'll make that the loop point. Right there. Love it. I'll take out the little intro so we can start running the beat. Hey, Paul, that's totally possible. Thanks for the suggestion. All right, so here's the problem I'm experiencing. All of these need to be the same velocity because they change so drastically. So a quick way of doing this is to slide them all up to 127, which is 100%, and then slide them all down. Now that they're uniform, just find whatever works. Be careful though of these. So I'm going to select everything. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-Q, which is my shortcut for forcing everything, the end length, to be no longer than my selected quantization, which is an 1/8 note. Just make sure nothing overlaps. Like that, hear it? It would actually be wise of me to get rid of all of these pedal marks. I just naturally play pedal when I record stuff because the links are getting really muddy with one another. So I'm going to take the second to elongate anything that needs to be. Make this 83 to match. And I'll go leave a little gap at the end. Nice. All right, so Jordan, check this out. In just about every modern game, not so much old games, but modern games almost all have an options menu when you turn it on. So I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, but literally I pulled open Steam. They have a free demo right now for the game. I opened it up, went to the options, and turned the background music all the way down to 0. And then just recorded the footage, and then all the sound effects were in. That's it. You can do this with basically any modern game. Again, the old retro stuff, you're not going to be able to do that unless you find a moment in the game that has no music. That's a moment I would encourage you to score if you want to do like Mega Man 3, whatever. There are some moments, I believe, that have no music, but that's very rare, right? That vibe gets me. So just for fun, something I like to do every once in a while is to test out how things are going. So I'm going to go to the sound effects. I'm going to bump everything up. I'm going to turn the music down. Now we can actually see what it might feel like playing the game for real. So let's just do a little taste test. Cool. That felt great. It really did. Let me put this back in the corner real quick. I feel like it's like 90% there. I don't like the electric bass in there. That's not necessary. But yeah, I like having this clear A section, B section, and it just feels good. Let me mute the sound effects for a sec. It feels slightly empty. in the B section, it felt like it needs something in the low end or something sustained. I feel like that's what it needs. It's just like a little... Okay, so here, check this out. Here's a moment where I want to go slightly against my word. So to me, the right sound for this moment is actually a triad, not the really spaced out version. Why? Because the vibes are up here. So I don't want to use that note. So the whole purpose of this whole voicing thing is to try to avoid the notes that other instruments are playing. So I want to keep my ensemble small here in this higher register. Then I want, instead of going to a G triad, which would interfere with the vibes, because again, the vibes are here. So I can't use any of these notes. So I'm going to try. So where can I go? I can go down. But I don't want to go down because that's my harmony for later. So instead, I'm going to go up. So that is the correct, from a theory standpoint, that would be the only left G inversion. Now we can go down. Nice. I'll do a seventh. So that's where I'm going to keep my harmonies. Keep them tame. So over here in the B section, that way I can still keep it going because it feels weird without something sustained. Let's play it in. Feels good. Go down and down and inversion. I don't like that one. Needs to be higher. So everything else felt good, but it's going to be my D sus. It's going to be in inversion A, D, G. So let's put G on top. So it's just a A, D. There it is. Na, na. Now I take all those. Quantize. Like before, I'm just going to turn them all into whole notes like this. Get rid of all the pedals. The pedals are just kind of for my performance self to make sure they all get in correctly. And now there they are. Beautiful. And then let's do the whole velocity thing. Go to 127, then go down to where I actually want them. So if we were scoring this with the live orchestra, this would be like mezzo piano dynamic. I don't want it as loud as the other section, so that's where velocity comes in. So let's turn it down until it fits. Let me try the other inversion for this G. It actually clashes against the melody. Just this one. Let me just try it different. Yeah, that feels better. Ooh, that clashes. Let's just do the no suspension, just a normal D chord. That's fine. Now we just take off a little bit of the end. Ooh, that feels bad. Too hard. I want mezzo forte, not forte. Last thing is I want this to be slightly more realistic, so I'm going to make sure the ends of each of my phrase have a slight rest, a 16th note rest at the end of them. That's what I was just doing. So here, just to give it a little bit of breath. It looks like I did that for all of those. Let's do the same thing for here. This is not a melody, so it doesn't need it. Got this note. Is that the right rhythm? Let me double check by throwing them on top of each other. Cool. I also just realized that I didn't put my harmony notes in the vibes. Na, na. Hey, this is like that last 5% that makes it good. Takes it from good to great. I could be done, but I don't want to leave it on the table if I have the time, and I do. These little things make it better. Hello, friends. Writing a little lovely hometown theme today. Keeping it simple, keeping it sweet. There's one too many of these little glisses. Let's get rid of one. I like that one. There it is. I think we're missing an opportunity to use the string pits here in the B2 section. I think that's what's going to help glue all this together to feel a little more complete in the low end. What do you guys think about moving the harp to the string pits in this section? Maybe that'll help. It fights with the harp. I'm trying to make sure everything's balanced. So let's do a little head count. So we have 2 vibe sections, 1 pan flute section. That's enough. It's pretty dominant melody. That's fine. Maybe we want to double it for the B2 section to have 2. We have 1 harp section, 1 string pit. So yeah, it's a little unbalanced. That's why it's feeling a little bit odd. There's not enough usage of any one instrument. So let's play with the instrumentation for a second. Corey, you're ridiculous. Oh man, why is that the answer? I found the answer. Thanks, Micah. We're not there yet. Okay, let me take... It's so close. There's just a couple important tweaks. Here we go. that there. So I'm going to make sure all of these are not quantized. Let's do undo, reset quantize. Okay. There we go. How does that feel, guys? To use the pits. It feels better to me. It feels more balanced. There it is. I'm cleaning up the ends of these phrases to be exactly 1/16th note of rest. That way it lines up with everything else. It's all finished, guys. That was actually my goal today, was to finish right at 2 o'clock. So that it took exactly 2 hours, minus a bunch of talking. But hey, that was awesome. I'm really happy with that track, and I hope you guys like it. We're going to wrap up here. So I'm going to play out with the gameplay full screen with the sound effects blazing. So let me get that set up real quick. And the way I'm doing that, by the way, over here, I'm just taking my stereo out, bumping it down, probably like 4 dB, and then leaving the sound effects nice and high. And then I'll just kind of tweak it as we need. But that's it. This is my favorite way to write video game music, is to literally put the video clip gameplay, especially if there's sound effects, put it on the screen. A lot of times we work in Unity or Unreal, or sometimes you just get a gameplay clip. But a lot of times, like Monster Sanctuary, the whole time I wrote the soundtrack, I was playing the beta on Steam. And I literally had it loaded up, grabbed my Xbox controller, and just would play on one. I have 3 monitors, so I just put it on one monitor, write in Cubase on the other. And I almost did that today, but it would have sucked up a lot of CPU. I didn't need to. So instead, I just grabbed a gameplay clip. That way I could, keep testing it, record it with the sound effects. But same thing right now. I'm working on a soundtrack for Aethermancer, which is a monster taming roguelike. I forgot which is which, but it's one of the rogues. But I have Unreal. We're working in Unity for that one. And so literally I load up Unity, I hit the play button, and I have it loaded on one screen, and then I have my DAW in the other, and I write music, and I look at it, and I test it, and that's half the fun. And we get to do this now with modern technology. It's pretty incredible, really, that we have access, and our machines are powerful enough that we can do both at the same time on one machine. It's pretty incredible. So this is my favorite way to write music, because it's so inspiring. I get to look at the footage and play it and work with it. And as we discovered, the door slam, Jew, you missed it. I was writing music, and then one of the downbeats lands perfectly with when the character slams the door on a G. It's the chord I chose. It just worked out perfectly. So those are the kinds of things that I can't plan for that, but you never know subconsciously what might be going on. Micah, we're not doing the Zelda jam today. I played a few Zelda tunes. No, I got to wrap it up because I got to get some other stuff done today before the workday is over. This is the end of my work week, remember? Thursdays. So thanks, guys, for being a part. This is super fun. And another shout out, thanks to Jonathan, who is the actual composer for the game Alterium Shift, which is now a free demo on Steam if you want to grab it. He stopped by to say hey. So I appreciate that. So thanks, everybody, checking it out today. We had a lot of people jump on the stream today, so I appreciate your support and hanging out with us here at VGMA. For those who are inside VGMA, our pro group, in just 4 days, so Monday of next week, we are launching our brand new course called VGM Kickstarter Composition, because we have 3 lanes within VGMA. We have our Kickstarter, our Launchpad, and then our Accelerator lanes. What we're doing is we're creating 4 courses for each lane, and then all working on them together. Real tangible goals in the realms of composition, production, technology, and business, and we're tackling them hard. So this is the first one of the 12, releasing in a few days, and it's by far the best course I've ever made, in large part because it wasn't just me. I feel like I'm a pretty good teacher, but I'm not the best editor. I'm not the best producer, but I actually have hired on a team to do that, and I'm really excited because I don't need to have all those skills. Like, I'm a musician, I'm a composer, I'm a teacher. Let's stop there. I don't need to become a master videographer or editor. So I'm really, really glad to have people working on this. And that way I can make a bunch of, requests, and they somehow magically make it happen. And it's just amazing. So really pumped about that. And even though, don't be fooled that just because it's Kickstarter and it's composition, it's designed for day one beginners, but I promise everyone could learn something from it. I need to learn some things from it because it's just good reminders of the basics of how to write a good harmony, how to write a good melody, what are the different ways to write music, how do we write loops in video games, how do we write layers, how do we write linear music. It's a whole thing, and it goes into pretty deep, as deep as we can within a 12-week course. But that's the point, is we've divided this into 12 big courses, and each one is a 12-week course. And so it's a lot, but music is a lot. Learning to become a composer is a lot, but we are very strategically tackling each of these categories one at a time so that we don't leave any stone unturned. And the idea is anyone jumps into the program and they can work through each of these 12 weeks at a time. And the goal is within a 3-year time span. If you're a complete beginner, day one beginner, you start with the first course within, theoretically, 12 courses, 12 sets of 12 weeks, so 3 years. You will be at that pro level. And that's how it's designed, so long as you work this system, right? That's the whole point. So It's going to be lots of fun. I can't wait to do that with you guys starting next week. And it's, like I said earlier, it's very small. Like each assignment is like, hey, write 4 bars of music. It's very, very small. Or go do this little bit of research. Go do this one little thing. And that way it all stacks on top of each other. And by the end, you get to start building your portfolio and getting yourself out there, getting some jobs. So that's what it's all about. All right, guys. Love you all. Have a lovely day. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm done rambling. Let's play out Alterium Shift. This is my version, my rescore of the hometown. Let's see how well it loops. And I'll see you guys on Monday.